So let's go into a little background to the German Revolution, the November Revolution. So in World War I, Germany entered in August 1914, and the High Command consisted of Hindenburg and Ludendorff from 1915 to 1917. Towards the end of the war, workers' demonstrations and strikes throughout Germany occurred from 1916 to 1917. This would disrupt multiple productions, including food and industrialization things, and the military would see spontaneous disbandment. The Kiel Navy demonstration in 1917 was relatively peaceful. Its ringleaders were executed for mutiny and treason, though. Oops. The Kiel Navy revolt on November 3rd, 1918, was the first revolutionary act of the November Revolution. It forced Wilhelm II to abdicate, and its issues of tension between transition government, military, and potential revolutionaries was obvious. So let's talk Kiel to Cap. Okay, the Kiel Mutiny to the Cap Putsch. The Kiel Navy Mutiny was supported by the Social Democratic Party, Prince Max von Baden, many other Republican, socialist, and non-monarchist groups. It highlighted military, social, governmental discontent and unity over current monarchical system. Numerous strikes, demonstrations, and counteractions between the SDP, workers and soldiers' councils, and other groups occurred, which highlighted the growing discontent and disunity between factions. The violence, however, never becomes the full civil war. The Cap Putsch, which occurred on March 13th, 1920, was an early nationalist movement to remove the Republican government. Putsch is basically a violent attempt to overthrow the government, i.e. the German word for coup d'etat. So Cap to Weimar. The Weimar Republic was technically established with Republican elections in February 1919. The Cap Putsch actually ended the left-wing infighting and helped stabilize the government. The elections in Reichstag were not held until June 1920. However, civil unrest continued. Police and military discontent, civilian protest and discontent, multiple changes in leadership within the government, all of these things contributed to the civil unrest. There were multiple strikes in big industry too, including metalwork, railway, general workers' unions. There was a multiple government period. Kuno, Stresemann, and Ziegner, all claiming power in Germany in the late 1922 through 1923, resulted in the infighting. Strikes and civil unrest, including martial law in Hamburg and Saxony, and two more failed putsch events, led to all of this unrest. And finally, the Weimar Republic settled under Wilhelm Marx, who we saw before this informational slide. The following map showcases the Rhineland occupation. Blue was France, yellow was Belgium, red was England, and green was France under the League of Nations. Look how pretty that is. It was actually the occupation of the Rhineland that was a result of the Treaty of Versailles, which caused some major issues in the Republic. The treaty led to uneven war guilt among the nations and extreme war reparations and debt for Germany. Americans stepped in with the Dawes Act, which was an attempt to loan money to Germany so that it could try and pay its war reparations. The occupation of the Rhineland led to a large area controlled by France. It had colonial troops stationed there, and the U.S. also supplied troops when necessary. Disarmament and deindustrialization for Germany impacted the economy and its ability to distribute goods and necessities to the people in its country. It also destabilized its infrastructure. For the last portion of our presentation, we are going to talk about the historiography of the German Revolution, aka the November Revolution. The following authors developed a historical overview of German history. Gordon Craig, who wrote Germany, 1866 to 1945, provides a monograph that has a historical overview of German history with a chapter specifically dedicated to the revolution. Dietrich Orlow wrote an article in 1918, A German Revolution, and it was an overview of revolutions in general, 1918 to 1919, as compared to the 1948 to 1949 revolutions. Martin Kitchen wrote The Silent Dictatorship, which focused on military strength and power, specifically Hindenburg and Ludendorff as being in control of Germany as heads of the High Command. Isabel Hull wrote Absolute Destruction, which was a discussion of the rapid construction of the German state, which gave too much power to the military and created power vacuums. All three of the following articles look at the impact of military reforms and civil-military interactions in the wake of the Revolution. William Solman, Military Occupation and German Revolution. Holger Herwig, The Problem of Military Reforms. William Mulligan, Civil-Military Relations in Early Weimar Republic. The second section of historiography was focused on transitional politics, where basically the Weimar Republic is a transitional period between imperial and Nazi regimes. Finally, addressing the revolution, John Mischark, The Road to Revolution, talks about how he is sort of comparing the Russian and communist revolution to the German Revolution. He comes at it from a Marxist perspective, and he focuses on socialism and how the revolution did not result in a communist state, and that was kind of a problem for him. So he thinks that it failed. Richard Bessel, who wrote Germany After the First World War, provides an overall analysis for the revolution, so that's really helpful. Eric Waldman wrote The Spartacist Uprising of 1919 and the Crisis of the German Socialist Movement. He also considered the revolution a failure because the Spartacists failed, and like Mischark, he thought that it was a problem that the revolution did not result in a more communist state. David Morgan wrote an article about Ernst Demag, I don't know if I pronounced that right, sorry, and the German Revolution of 1918, and he was upset that Ernst didn't force a socialist. We'd like to give a special thank you to our following credits. Directed by Dr. Michael Brooks, edited by Stephanie Demkowski, written by Anthony Pearson, executive producer Stephanie Demkowski, director of photography Joan Erdley, production design Anthony Pearson, costume design Joan Erdley, casting Dr. Michael Brooks, and finally the music is iTunes. And now for something completely different, a man with two noses.